1917 and the War of Bands. Canadian troops valiantly fought on Vimy Ridge in northern France, but the Germans were ready and put up a fight. They fought for days to set things right. With the heart of a lion, Canada fought and won. A legacy of Canadian bravery had begun. Although an incredible success, we stand here today to express our gratitude of the fallen and their bravery that had been stolen. The soldiers fought for the freedom of all that would succeed them. So this afternoon, as you ride the school bus, remember those whom we just discussed. And as you sit on the benches, remember those who fought without fear in the muddy, bloody trenches. They fought like wolves in a pack for you and for me. They fought for all that we can see.
Bienvenidos a la presentación de Remembrance Day de la Escuela Glenmeadows. Please stand for the entrance of the color guard. You may be seated. This video was presented by the CBE earlier in the year. As we acknowledge the land, it is important to remember all the Indigenous people who have also been part of our armed forces. We are grateful for your service.
When COVID first surfaced and self-isolation began, Indigenous people led the way to spread healing all over the world. Jingle dancers began to make videos dancing on the land and asking for healing and guidance for every America by Indigenous people. The dresses have metal cones stitched on with a design that jingle when the person moves. The shape and sound of the jingles is said to spread healing, whether dancing for one person or a whole nation. We would like to acknowledge the traditional territories and oral practices of the Blackfoot Nations, which includes the Siksika, the Piikani, and the Kainai. We also acknowledge the Tsuut'ina and Stoney Nakoda First Nations, the Métis Nation Region 3, and all people who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of southern Alberta. The dancer in this video is Jessenia Horsfall. She graduated from Crescent Heights in 2020. Together with her parents, Barb and Harold Horsfall created this video and dance with the intention of spreading healing across the CBE for our students, families, leaders, and all CBE staff.
Please stand for O Canada.
seated.
Buenos días a todos y bienvenidos a nuestro Remembrance Day. I am Ray Suarez and I'm the proud principal of the school at Glenmeadows. Welcome to each one of you. Last year we were speaking about heroes, and students did quite a bit of research understanding that a hero is someone who gives selflessly for a cause. And today we're going to be remembering those who have fallen and have given their lives, but also have served the armed forces of Canada to preserve our nation and peace throughout the world. This morning we have a guest who is going to be Lieutenant Colonel Scott LeBlanc, and he's going to be reminding us of why we have the Canadian Armed Forces and what they have done in the history of Canada. So with further ado, we present to you the students of Escuela Glenmeadows to celebrate and commemorate this day. Thank you.
November 11th, 1918 is the day World War I came to an end. But there are more wars to follow, more countries to defend. Families sent their sons and daughters to fight, hoping that they would return all right. Soldiers bravely headed out to the field, where their emotions were concealed. They wore fear like a heavy coat as they wrote home a loving note. Over the years, 2 million men and women have sacrificed their lives. Husbands have lost their wives. 2 minutes of silence to show respect is something we do every year and something we expect. We wear a poppy near our heart to honor those that were forced to be apart. Wreaths are laid to honor the brave, the soldiers alive and the ones in their grave. People sacrifice their lives for our continued peace. Participation in Remembrance Day must increase. Let's learn from the past so that there'll be no more wars is all I ask. 2 million Canadians were sent to war, and when they came back, their hearts were torn.
Oh, how they fought. The souls they had, the kindness they shared, the risks that they took for us to stay safe. The fact that they fought so we didn't have to. And the guns that they shot so the risks were not ours. Poppies grow in Flanders fields for a sign of remembrance, and the flower for a reference. Rest in peace, angels, for now you will rest. See you in heaven, hope you're doing your best. Hope you're living the life up there in the sky. Goodbye, good souls, fly up and fly high. To the families for the souls that you lack. I'm just guessing God wanted his angels back. We remember you and your unforgettable tribute to keeping us safe. I hope you continue.
D-Day. Many people passed on today, trying to protect their family, trying to save their society. Dark, cold day, clouds gray. Clouds sprayed with smoke made the soldiers choke. Many not wanting to fight, but if they don't, their country will have no light. Flames dropping bombs, lots will never save their homes. As the Allies saved, the Axis caved. Invading at 9, a very early time. Barbed wire, lots of fire. Everyone in trenches with the injured on benches. Allies never quit, Axis will throw a fit. The beaches of Normandy, now a spot for poetry. D-Day, Vimy Ridge, I guess this is now all part of our heritage. Tanks blasting, planes landing. June 6th, life that day was terrible. For lots, unbearable. D-Day, we will never forget those who fell today. A day during war, November 10th, a guy named John McCrae found Flanders Field. He protected Flanders Field with a shield. You might ask, who's John McCrae? He's just a person that goes all the way. He was a Canadian man who always ran. He had a friend named Alexis Helmer, who was always overwhelmed, especially when he saw her. Sadly, Alexis Helmer died, but in honor, he could never wake up, he was a goner. John McCrae is known through all of Canada's history. He will never be a mystery. John McCrae made an amazing poem. John McCrae was always so wholesome. You can see John McCrae was a good person overall. He was perfect, just like a beach ball.
Where the trenches run deep and the pure soul sleep, there's a place called Flanders Fields, with poppies as red as the blood that was spilt, memories of all those that were killed. This place represents war, freedom for another generation, and responded to the call of aspiration, hope that called their name. 45,000 soldiers lined up and cried, fears were found inside, to war they ran. Freedom is what helped them cope. Freedom is what sparked the light of hope. War, they realized, was the only way to freedom. Row on row of losses, row on row of crosses, the sacrifice finished. November 11th is when gratitude comes to life, when we commemorate those who had strife, those who lie in Flanders Field.
No one ever imagined what war was going to show. Many were not expecting what was to come. Bombs going off that sounded like a loud drum. Little did they know their children wanted to go. However, they were all changed forever. Rain-soaked trenches filled with muck. Most dreaded their unfortunate luck. Long days of constant battle that felt like endless years. Every cell in their body was full of fear. Shells burst in every direction, while the voices of the loved ones beckoned. We thank them for our freedoms. They all paid the price of sacrifice. Because of this war, we have a moment of silence. If only they knew the struggles that they would go through. And for this, we will always remember in November.
Today, every year on November 11th, we remember with the song, The Soldiers in Heaven. It symbolizes all the work they've done. Obligation, fights, and sacrifices are over. They can finally just rest in peace, and the soldiers' level of happiness can now increase, with no fear that they will have to go through this pain that ended their life again. They were released to be free from the horror of their eyes and have seen everything they could possibly imagine. Kaboom pow! As the guns will take a gigantic jump out of its safe home on a one-way journey to an enemy's body. Soldiers in war heard the bumble sing the last pulse like a lullaby to sleep. It was a signal to know they were safe and ready to have a good night. There would always be an image they would pull out of their head, thinking the next day they may lead to death or may never see their family again. They'd keep their thoughts, fears, and worries themselves, and save them for tomorrow, hoping they could complete their race to the finish line and survive another day. We never want to go through this again. We need to remember what happened like 1 + 1 = 2. This song is for us to remember, not just the tune we listen for enjoyment in November. People will surely hope to continue playing the song, to acknowledge all the hard work and sacrifice that has shaped our country with the fact that we know they're gone. They're gone for us. They are never forgotten, lest we forget.
Please stand. You may be seated. It is my pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Scott LeBlanc.
Good day, I'm Lieutenant Colonel Scott LeBlanc of the Canadian Army, Canadian Armed Forces. It is my privilege and honor to be able to share with you some of my insights on this most solemn of days, Remembrance Day. And first I'll begin with a short introduction. Some key highlights. Way back in 1991, while still in high school, I decided to join the Canadian Army Reserves in Nova Scotia. In 1993, following graduation, I deployed to Croatia, which is in the former Yugoslavia, as part of a UN peacekeeping mission, whose aim was to help restore order and bring about stability in the region. In 1996, I decided to enroll at the Royal Military College in Kingston, Ontario, where I pursued studies in political science and economics. Finally, after 4 long years, in 2000, I graduated and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Canadian Army, particularly with the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, which is my current regiment. In 2002, following the tragic events of September 11th, 2001 in New York City, I deployed to Afghanistan in support of the larger Allied efforts in the war against terrorism. In 2009, I would redeploy to Afghanistan with a bit of a different emphasis in the mission, where we were focused on building the nation. Between 2013 and 2019, my family and we moved to the U.S., where I studied at the U.S. Army Command and Staff College in Kansas and served as an exchange officer and planner at U.S. Army First Corps Headquarters near Seattle, where we were focused on the Pacific region, particularly with the regions within China and North Korea. And currently, I am employed as a strategic level planner at our National Defense Headquarters in Ottawa. In terms of the significance of Remembrance Day, I think for some, it is about mourning, it is about grief. However, I'd like to focus on gratitude. And I just want to highlight 2 themes in what I'm going to present here. I think it's important to remember that we are the recipients of the efforts of generations of soldiers who saw it fit to offer their lives and their comfort in pursuit of higher ideals such as freedom and justice. From the mud-filled fields of France in World War I to the imposing terrain of Korea and Afghanistan, let us be grateful for the spirit of courage and self-sacrifice of the men and women whose desire was to make the world a better place, to make it a better place for them and for yourselves. So for me, that is why we remember on this day. In terms of my role in national defense, I think it can be summarized in 3 key themes. The first would be that of peacekeeping, where that was defined by my deployment to Croatia. Our purpose there was to intervene between 2 warring states with the aim of bringing about peaceful solutions to stop the violence and to stop people from hurting each other. Of course, these are noble endeavors. The second category would be that of counterinsurgency operations in Afghanistan. where we deployed to support the Allied response following the events in New York City on September 11th, 2001. The aim there was to prevent further attacks against innocent people, and as well to help the people of Afghanistan to live in a more peaceful and stable environment. The third category, that is defined by my role as an operational and strategic level planner, where my focus is to develop concepts and plans whereby Canada and its allies can better defend our values and freedoms against potential adversaries, because unfortunately there are those who would want to do us harm, and we must always remain vigilant. I think one broad theme in all this is the idea that we always have to be an ambassador and representative for Canada, whether at home or abroad, such that we reflect the best qualities of our nation, both as a professional and as a citizen. And for me, especially with my tours abroad and the United States, that is something that's always resonated with me. Regarding general observations and insights, I think it can be broken down into 4 key points. The first, we must never forget how our freedoms were won and preserved. Study and learn from history. As the adage goes, history does not repeat itself, but it does rhyme. And with that, let us never forget the lessons of the past. Secondly, always be willing to serve. Serve your family, your church, your community, your country. Be leaders and seek that which is higher than yourselves. Thirdly, patriotism and courage to do what is just, what is right, and what is true are virtues to be promoted, embraced, and emulated. Lastly, while war is sometimes the necessary price for peace and for which we must always be prepared, it is a cost that we must seek to avoid if at all possible. We must exhaust all possible avenues in order to achieve and maintain peace. For once war begins, it is difficult to contain its effects. And with this, let us always be grateful, and let us always remember. Thank you, and God bless all of you, and God bless Canada.
I wish for you. I wish for me. Maybe the person was a pilot, heroic in the air. Or maybe the person was being a scout, trying to stay from trouble over there. Maybe even a soldier, using his speed. Many might guess a medic, taking care of the ones in need. Person might be a she, person might be a he. All we know is that they died. My guesses are fine, but I find no knowledge in my mind. Your guess is as good as mine. What felt like a few days was 9 decades drifted who knows where. The body, still there. The body, dry, still and rare. And Remy Ridge, it lays and lays, soaking up all the sun rays, till we come and save the day. Bring the remains, save at Metu, on May 25th, bring the corpse home. People crowd around and stare, and kid says, "Is that over there?" Government says, "No surprise." All we know is that they died. My guesses are fine, but I find no knowledge in my mind. So your guess is as good as mine. 20 years have came, now an easy release without shame. Safe and sound, no matter around. People look at the tone that they are around, push everything in their mind, view as nice, annoying, or kind. Nearby is a sign. All we know is that they died. My guesses are fine, but I find no knowledge in my mind. So your guess is as good as mine. Up above, the spirit says with a serious face, my peaceful body, now in a good place, sealed in a big, sturdy case. The people may not know my look, at least I know they admire my work, and all the others by my side, even if they say with a sigh. All we know is that they died. My guesses are fine, but I find no knowledge in my mind. So your guess is as good as mine.